Hello everyone and welcome to the second part of my short course on inclusive leadership in nutshell. And this part is about key characteristics and body language of leaders. Often leaders, they have got particular characteristics that help them to achieve basically their targets. So they can set visions, people can follow and so on. And also the way they talk, they express themselves. It's quite encouraging and also contribute to people wanting basically to follow them. So in this part, we would like to look at the key characteristics of leaders and body language of leaders. As we discussed in the previous part, when we talk about leader or a true leadership, it's all about caring about people. So therefore, leaders, they have to be able to empower people. They have to show people that they have the strengths and skills and abilities to basically complete a task or move toward a vision, and therefore they can um, complete the job with a high quality. In addition, leaders, they need to be very inspiring. They have to be able to inspire their employees so they can come up with some novel ideas. They can be motivated to work and therefore they can come up with some solutions that no one believed it could be possible. In addition, it is also expected from a true leader to lead the change. So often when we want to address some of the challenges or basically push the edges and basically come up with some new products or ideas that it was not done basically before. So often change is required. Therefore, leaders, they have to be ready and also they have to lead the change. In addition, since that leadership is about the long-term um, vision of the team and where the team is going, it's very important for the leader to establish the shared vision with the team. So therefore, the team members, they can understand where they are going, what can be achieved, and how basically they can get there by basically empowering our employees and inspiring them. Therefore, establishing a shared vision is again one of the um, key tasks or characteristics of a leader. Now let's zoom into more nitty and gritties and details of the different skills and characteristics that leaders need to have. The first one is that leaders, they need to have a strong communication skills. Without a doubt, being an effective communicator is a top attribute to become a good leader. You may have a clear vision, but if you can't convey to your team or colleagues, it will be almost impossible to implement. Therefore, in a very simple words, if you are unable to communicate your message effectively to your team, you can never be a good leader. Therefore, being a very strong communicator is a key part, an essential part of being a leader. Another key aspect and characteristic of a leader is a commitment and passion to the work that the leader is doing. You expect your team to work hard and produce quality results, so you roll up your sleeves and join them. Team motivation significantly increases when people see their boss working alongside them, putting in the same level of effort or even more, I can say, than everyone else. When your teammates see you are hands getting your hands dirty, then they will also give their best shot. It will also help you to gain the respect of your subordinates and infuse new energy in your team members, which helps them to perform even better. So it's quite important to show to our team members. We are committed and passionate about the work and the leadership task that we are doing. Leaders also need to have confidence and resilience. You should be confident enough to ensure that others follow your commands. Basically, as a leader, you have to be oozing with the confidence, show some assertiveness to gain the respect of your team members. Remember of this saying, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. Thus, irrespective of how difficult these conditions might be, you should be resilient and show some positivity to your basically team members. So what I can say, good leaders always focus on the solutions and not being occupied with the complaints for the problems that they get. Leaders, they have to nurture the accountability in their team members. If the team members are doing well, give them a pat on the back. And if they struggle, work together with them to improve and point out their shortcomings where you can actually. Holding the team members accountable for their actions basically will create a sense of responsibility among your team members, and they will go about the business more seriously, and therefore things can get done in a more efficient way. In particular, I like this quotation from Arnold Glasso. A good leader takes little more than his share of the blame and little less than his share of credit. So remember, so we would like to share the gain and also share the pain. The other key characteristic is delegation and empowerment. Having a collaborative approach to leadership basically is very powerful because it naturally creates transparency in your organization. Show your team members that you respect their ideas and be sure to give credit where it's due. It might be in public to let others know that you appreciate their contributions to the job and tasks and the projects that they have been working on. Another essential characteristic of a leader is honesty and integrity. A strategic leadership all begins with honesty. Let's remember about this word from Benjamin Franklin. Honestly is the best policy. It's not about popularity, but rather about integrity. Being an honest leader also includes being publicly transparent. When you are honest and transparent, it's easier to get everyone on the same page and earn the trust of employees and communities when trying to achieve strategic goals. Another nice saying from Dwight Eisenhower is that the supreme quality of leadership is unquestionably the integrity. Therefore, remember that honesty and integrity is a pillar of the leadership. If they ask me to select the keyword for effective leadership, I say empathy, empathy, empathy. Leaders should develop empathy with their followers rather than being authoritative. Understanding the problems of your followers and feeling their pain is the first step to become an effective leader. Remember, try to walking in their shoes and seeing things from their perspective. Leaders, they need to be creative and innovative. Basically, to make the impossible possible, you need to find new ways that they haven't been tried before. Don't get too comfortable. It's important to have an eye for innovation and to execute this vision. Being open to change and think outside the box, basically. This will give you a competitive edge or advantage, basically. Remember, you may not be the most innovative person in the team, but you still need to foster creativity and innovation amongst your team members. So, in summary, for creativity and innovation, I have to say to make the impossible possible, creativity can help us. I don't think anything is impossible, We can try to do things, and let's remember about what Nelson Mandela said. It always seems impossible until it's done. And also, Steve Jobs says innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Therefore, if you want to be a leader, you need to be creative and innovative. A leader needs to be a source of inspiration for team members. When the situation gets tough, your followers look up to you and see how you react to the situation. Try to stay calm under the pressure and keep up the motivation to look for a better solution. Try to inspire your followers by setting a good example. Let's listen to the second president of the United States, John Adams. He says if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Therefore, inspiration is quite important. Last but not least, leaders they need to have clear vision and purpose. Good leaders always have a vision and purpose. However, a great leader goes above and beyond, along with the explanations that they provide to the team members about the vision and purpose they have to achieve the objectives. Let's again remember about this nice saying from Jack Welch, the chairman and CEO of General Electric from 1981 to 2001. He says good business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to the completion. Now let's have a look to some tips about the body language and gestures of leaders. The way the leaders basically they communicate with their audience or team members and motivate them and basically allow them to willingly to do their job toward the common vision they have. When we talk about the body language and gestures of leaders, we are talking about non-verbal expressions that they matter a lot. So the way the leaders they will make eye contact with their audience and team members, the facial expressions they will have, gestures, the space they leave between themselves and the audience, and the way the touches that they do or the way they use their hand movements and so on basically impact the listeners and audience and how serious they will think this the leader is and also how inspirational the leader is.
Obama. Here they are arriving at number 10, and look at this lucky policeman gets to shake hands with the President of the United States. Oh, and here comes the Prime Minister of the... No.
It's good to know our body gesture basically influence others as well as ourselves. So basically when we talk about the body language of leaders, we are talking about the acts and gestures that basically our leaders can do to impact others as well as their state of mind and themselves. It's very well known that our mind and state of mind basically changes our body. So what goes in our mind? Are we happy or are we confident? Are we motivated or so on? This would be reflected on our body language and gesture, which is quite well established. And I'm sure we all understand that when we are happy or basically sad or confident, we use the different hand gestures or we may just, keep our head down and those sort of things. However, when we just make ourselves smaller, hunching, crossing our legs, or close our arms and sit down, sometimes we are spread out with hands up. So basically, this can also impact our state of mind and actually how confident or motivated basically we are also in our mind. So this is like a cycle that our state of mind changes our body, and our body also changes our mind. So it's good to know that the reason of using some of the particular body gestures and body languages is to impact our mind to ensure that we can deliver what we are supposed to do. Now let's have a look to the to-do list for leaders in terms of um, body language and gestures. First one is good for leaders to assume a power pose because it boosts their confidence. So the high power poses, such as leaning back, let's say with hands behind the head, or standing with legs and arms stretched wide open, stimulates higher levels of testosterone, the hormone linked to power and dominance, and lower level of cortisol, which is a stress hormone. As a leader, it's good to be like you are listening to increase the participation in the discussion or in the comments that people are making about the vision. Do not multitask when people speak. Focus on those who are speaking by turning your head and body to face them directly and by making direct eye contact with the speaker. Leaning forward, nodding, and tilting your head are the other non-verbal ways to show that you are engaged and paying attention to the discussion or the person talking. Remember to smile when appropriate because it stimulates feel good factor in the audience or people you are dealing with. A genuine smile not only stimulates your own sense of well-being but also makes people around you feel like you are approachable, let's say cooperative, and trustworthy person. However, smiling too much makes you look like someone who doesn't take anything seriously. It's important to know when to offer a smile. Good leaders mirror expressions and postures to show agreement. When you mirror other people with intent, it can be an important part of building rapport and nurturing feelings of mutuality. Mirroring starts by observing a person's, let's say, facial and body gestures, and then indirectly and in a clever way, letting your body take on similar expressions and postures. Leaders also they make a very good use of their hand gestures. This will improve and facilitate basically the speech and make it more attractive. Since gesture is integrally linked to speech, using gestures as you speak can actually power up our thoughts. The physical act of gesturing helps you to form clear thoughts and speak in tighter sentences with more declarative language, actually. It is also recommended to develop a firm handshake. This will help you to connect instantly with the people you are communicating. Basically, this tactile contact makes an instant and lasting positive impression. Shaking hands makes people feel like being more open and friendly. It is very important for the leader to maintain eye contact with the person in the conversation to display interest and confidence. Basically, eye contact should not be too much and should not be too little. Eye contact is very important gesture in any conversation, I have to say. It not only helps you to establish rapport with the person who is taking part in the conversation, but also helps you to understand what they are thinking in certain situations. Leaders need to train their vocal tone to sound authoritative. I suggest always allow your voice to relax into its optimal pitch. Always try to sound like friendly and confident person then after. The most pleasant and trust-winning voice is the deep chest voice with the smooth reflections. This kind of voice gives you an air of confident authority and is a pleasant voice to listen to indeed. Now let's have a look to not to-do list for the leaders or what leaders should avoid in terms of the body language and gestures. First is that leaders should avoid excessive nodding to ensure they can conform with the agreements they made. So movement of your head up, down, sideways, to show you understand that you agree with something. If you do it too much and excessively, that is not good. Leaders should avoid looking away too often or blinking in rapid successions because these nonverbal signs can show you are uncomfortable in the situation you are positioned. Leaders do not slouch. Slouching is a sign of disrespect. It portrays the fact that you are bored and have no desire to be where you are. Therefore, the way you sit should not be giving the impression to people that you are lazy and tired and so on. Leaders should avoid creating barriers, such as by crossing their arms or legs. These are generally perceived as barriers that people can put up against the other people in the conversation. Therefore, try to avoid creating barriers to encourage collaboration between team members and yourself. Leaders should not do fidgeting. Basically, they should not make small movements in their hands and feet because that can be a sign of nervousness and impatience. So, therefore, try to avoid fidgeting, to avoid showing basically anxiety and impatience. Leaders should avoid watching the clock while someone else is talking because that's a clear sign of impatience and inflated ego. I'm sure many of us we have had this experience that while we are talking, then some people they look at their watch. Then you will become also nervous while you are talking. Leaders should not avoid eye contact with the audience. Basically, they like to maintain a good level of eye contact with the person who is talking or in the discussion to express confidence and interest in the discussion. Last but not least, leaders should avoid using exaggerated gestures. This might be using exaggerated hand gestures, for example, or even the wording that you use, because this may imply that you are stretching the truth. Now let's have a mini quiz and you see what you think about different items. First question is, what do leaders do? Do you think they smile more or smile less? Let's give you a few seconds to think about it. Do you think leaders smile more or smile less? Choice A is a smile more, choice B is a smile less. Indeed, smiling is actually a subordinate and submissive behavior. This can be interpreted as a weakness or social inferiority in humans. Actually, leaders smile less. Let's look at question 2. What do leaders do? Do they interrupt or they do not interrupt? Option A is that leaders interrupt. Option B is that leaders do not interrupt. Again, let's give you a few seconds to see what you think. Indeed, leaders usually interrupt. When leaders speak, people naturally quiet down. Leaders actually have a vocal power with a bass tone of confidence, so everyone intuitively pays attention. Next question is that do you think leaders hold eye contact more or they hold eye contact less? So option A is leaders hold eye contact more, and option B is that leaders hold eye contact less. So indeed, leaders hold eye contact more, but when they are speaking to you. However, leaders hold eye contact less when others are speaking to them. Basically, eye contact breeds trust. The next question is that do you think leaders pace or stand still? So option 1 is that you think leaders pace, walking around while you're talking and so on. Or B, they stand still while they are talking or listening. So typically leaders stand still. They just move very purposefully. They want to conserve as much energy as possible. Believe it or not, they like to conserve some energy. They stand still and observe everyone around them. If you are in the room, stand still with your feet firmly planted to show power as the leader. And the last question, the quiz, is that do you think leaders nod as you speak or they hold head still there? So option A is that leaders nod as you speak or leaders hold head still as you speak. Indeed, leaders hold their head still. They don't want to portray submissive behavior. So that's what they leaders do. And of course, nodding very occasionally would be fine, but generally speaking, the leaders do not nod. Thank you for attending this second part of my short course, and I hope you got some good ideas about key characteristics of leaders and also some tips about um, body language and gesture of leaders. Here are the references I've used to prepare the material for this short course, and you can check them to get more detailed information. Thank you.